Something I feel like we should really talk about is the Overwatch Classic, right? Overwatch Classic is out right now. It came out yesterday. I played literally, God, how many hours did I play of it yesterday? 17-ish hours? Yeah, probably about 16, 17 hours of playing it last night. So I have a pretty decent idea of what I feel like is good, bad about it so far. And the first thing I wanted to say before anything is I hope people know this is not the 6v6 playtests. There is no underlying, oh, like this is the Overwatch you wanted. Oh yeah, like you think you want this? Oh no you don't. And then they give you like what is considered maybe an objectively bad patch, but it was the day one launch patch. Now you might be saying, streamer, what in the world are you talking about? Nobody's saying that. Yes they are, and I know it's Reddit, so like it's, take it with a grain of salt, but I couldn't find the tweets. I saw some last night and I saw some this morning, but as I was saying earlier, I streamed for like 19, 20 hours last night, so yeah, I kind of woke up at like 2 o'clock this afternoon, so this is like one of the easiest accessible ones I could find, and literally it's the top post, the #1 top post in the last 24 hours. Like, and it says, when we say old Overwatch, we don't mean the literal launch day. Feels like this needs to be pointed out since there seems to be an influx of new Overwatch 2 players who played classic mode and figured that's all to old Overwatch. Overwatch 1 came out in 2016, Overwatch 2 came out in 2022. That's 6 years of Overwatch, 6 years of hero releases, 6 years of patches, and 6 years of varying levels of balance. What you think was peak is subjective and up for discussion, but seeing the entirety of Overwatch 1 as a single experience is acting in very bad faith. This mode sucks, you guys are really nostalgic about this. Some were, I'm sure, but most of us understand that there was some time between the two titles and the game was absolute peak. Thank you. So, here's the thing. People have already started to argue and be like, oh, this was a show of bad faith. They're trying to get people to say like, oh, this was good. This is your nostalgic Overwatch or whatever. And to that, I kind of laugh because the whole point of Overwatch Classic is to do the original launch of Overwatch, right? That's the point. So what patch do you start with for this event? Do you start with Ana, because that's widely considered like peak start, like early Overwatch? Well, Ana was post hero lock, right? Like you can only have one hero. So that's not original Overwatch, and that was like way later. So when something like this comes out, of course, they're gonna go with the original first day one patch. That's the point. Maybe I misunderstood it. I thought they were gonna be putting out patches as it goes on, but maybe it sounds like they're not actually doing that for this event. But maybe they'll do it in the future, or they will bring back future patches in Overwatch 1. So like Triple Tank, Ana, you know, old Orisa, old Doomfist, right? All that kind of stuff. In future events, right? That's what it ends up kind of looking like. But my goodness, it is so tiring. I don't even want to, like, I haven't got to like, is it good, is it bad, you know, the pros and cons. I'm just so sick of like, everyone's out to get you. Like, man, it must suck to just constantly believe that like everyone in the world is out to get you at all times. And like everyone has these maniacal backdoor, secondary, hidden in shadow agendas, right? Isn't it exhausting, guys? The whole point of it seems like it's just supposed to be a fun, nostalgic event and let people go back and play the original Overwatch that a lot of people look back on fondly, right? It's literally supposed to be for fun. It's a good thing. I'm actually in awe at the amount of people who think it's like, this is terrible, this is bad, I can't believe they're doing this, blah, 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 blah. Now that that's out of the way, though, let's actually talk about the real, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it, because, like, I think that needed to be given a little piece just to be like, guys, shut the f up, this is crazy. This is legitimate crazy talk. This is actual, like, tinfoil hat conspiracy theory shit. So let's talk about it. Is it good? Is it bad? First off, actually, really quick, I forgot to show you. So, like, I had someone like me this tweet earlier, but I'm not saying like this person's tweet is all of it, but like there's similar sentiments, right? And saying that they decided to bring back an objectively worse version of Overwatch. instead of what we're asking for, just so they can use it as a scapegoat to go, see, this is why 6v6 will never work and why Overwatch 2 is better. What a grift. Yeah, that's nothing, like, I'm not trying to target that person, but like there's so many tweets like that that are floating around out there right now. So, real quick, I wanted to just point that out. Like, no, it's not just like, oh, Schumer making shit up. Like, it's out there. But is it good or is it bad? Well, let's talk about the good. A nostalgic Overwatch is one of the most powerful things on the internet, right? Overwatch is widely considered a game that fumbled really hard. Overwatch 2 was a big failure, quote-unquote, to a lot of, like, general gaming audience. Not Overwatch players, but, like, a general gaming audience, like, that just only consume news from, like, random tweets or random YouTube videos or random articles that they come across at different times. And 99.9% of the time don't even know about the improvements that have been made to Overwatch over the years. An event like this is actually a really good thing, because it will bring them back to try it and to play it. And there's a good chance that after playing a bunch of Classic, they might get bored of it after a few days and decide to try the regular today Overwatch and be like, how is it? And, well, yeah, the patch they put out is a little questionable. I don't think most players are going to be playing against Malgus, and I think it's made tons of improvements over the last few years. And I think there was another tweet, actually. Shit, I didn't find that one. That was one of the ones I was looking for. But basically it was saying, like, you know, this really made me appreciate how much how far Overwatch 2 has come. And, like, today's Overwatch 2 is so much better than old Overwatch. In some ways, it's not wrong. Characters feel much more clean. They feel smoother. If you haven't played the new D.Va, or sorry, old D.Va, holy f***, that is the worst character potentially in the history of video games. Lucio's old wall riding feels like... Okay, let's say I walk at this speed. Lucio's wall riding goes this fast. It is legitimately slower than walking. So it's like, there are certain things that feel horrendous, right? You see how bad Hook 1.0 was and how stupid it was, and it's funny, right? But it's great to look back on. It's great to go back and have a good time with. But then the way a lot of heroes play and how they feel is massively better today than what it was then.
Dead to rights.
But in my own personal opinion, I will say, playing the Classic, I feel like kind of awoke something back inside of me again. I haven't had the real desire to play a lot of Overwatch in a long time. And granted, it's different playing with friends, right? Like, I was playing with friends pretty much all day, all night. Playing it solo is going to be ass, because you have all the quality of life stuff from old Overwatch not included. For example, hero limits, and for example, roll lock. Some people look back fondly at old Overwatch and think that open queue format was great, until you get the game with 4 DPS, 1 Mercy, and then you're sitting there like, what do I have to play tank? And then you just select Roadhog, and you play Roadhog, 4 tanks, and a Mercy, or a Lucio, or something stupid, right? And that happens in a majority of damn games. And then you can take it further with the hard CC of things like Mei Wall being a literal Iron Fortress, Widow absolutely shit stomping. But you can shut down the Widow, right? You can go like multiple Winstons, right? D.Va's terrible, but multiple Winstons is pretty good, right? But I will say the synergy and how things could actually die, tanks included, was awesome. It felt great. It felt, in a lot of ways to me, what I picture in my brain when I go to bed at night of what Overwatch is. Part of me is even more excited now for the actual 6v6 playtest, because certain things, like jumping high ground with Winston, with another tank, with like 2 Winstons because D.Va's terrible, or the Rein Zarias, or the occasional Rein Hog or Rein Zarya Hog or Zarya Hog or whatever. For some reason, those synergies, those extra things to think of, just really tickled my brain. Like, at some point yesterday, we were playing in some really sweaty stack, and I was solo tanking on Hog. They were playing Zarya Hog. I was playing with Craggy, and Craggy goes, okay, I got pulse bomb 9 times in a single game, by the way. But I still had fun, And when I was getting rolled, Craig's like, all right, I'll go Zarya, I'll go Zarya. And literally just like the call of, okay, I have my bubble, you can go for a risky hook, and then I turn the corner and I go for the play, and then boom, I hook them, get my shot, they go to counter hook me, I get bubbled, they die, because I made a play off of communication and off of having another cooldown ready for me. And that, to me, is what Overwatch is. And I do think there's a world where you could have both.
Overwatch CL **** is a reminder of how far we have come. Yes, we lost version 6 in OW2, but damn did it used to be clunky.
Thanks to the 5 super chat. So unfortunately, that is not a great argument because this is not end of Overwatch. Like that's what people when they say they want 6v6, they want closer to the end of Overwatch type of game. They want like 2020, 2019, like post Briggs, absolute domination for 2 years. Or like, you know, when Double Shield wasn't completely rolling the entire game for a few weeks. Like, there was like small pockets where they kind of were starting to get things together, but then they were already abandoning the game with Overwatch 2. Like, there was a lot of things that they were already working towards, right? The patch that Siegel liked, the 2020 Overwatch patch, or the 2020 October Overwatch patch is pretty famous at this point. In a lot of ways, they we're making good strides. That's what people say when they want 6v6. That was like even the point of the Reddit post, right? But again, this isn't supposed to be that. It's supposed to be a fun look-back nostalgia event. And I think that's great. Like, I'm actually more surprised that anyone could hate it. Hate it for that. The thing that I'm not surprised about is Overwatch 2 players not liking it. I think that was my prediction to you guys when it was announced, was Overwatch 1 players are probably going to come back and absolutely love the mode, but the Overwatch 2 players are going to hate it. Rightfully so. It's not the Overwatch they grew up with. They don't have coordination. Overwatch 2 is more deathmatchy. 2CP is a great example. If you don't have any coordination, you're not winning. You are not getting through the choke. You are dead on cooldown. Period. That's how it would go. And also supports. There's no bailout buttons. There's no immortalities. There's no cleanses. There's no super buttons. Like, there's only res. There's res on like a 15-second cooldown because of how fast you get it. But that's it. That's all you got. Lucio's healing is not great, even though it reaches really far. Zen's got 150 HP. That's it. That's what you got. Yeah, supports sucked. XD. Yeah. Supports were not good. And like people were gonna have to realize it, like they weren't. And in a lot of ways, support power creep happened over the years, and it was one of the biggest talking points of players for a long time. Not saying it's a good thing or a bad thing or anything like that. I'm just saying, playstyle wise, it's light years different. But the thing that this has caused the most is that typically, when people are having a good experience with something, they don't go online and complain about it. They don't go on forums, they don't go on Twitter, they don't go on Reddit, they don't make videos, whatever it is, right? Like, they don't do that if they're satisfied with something, for the most point, unless they're like a content creator and they're like, it's like a job, right? Otherwise, people just enjoy things when they like it. They go in, like if you go to a nice restaurant, a lot of times you go to a nice restaurant, you go in, you sit down, you have a good experience, you leave, and that's it. You give a nice tip, and then you have to go home. You don't go online and talk about how great it was a lot of times. Like, that's not something that happens. But you know what does happen? If you had a bad experience. If you got a bad experience, people will run online and start complaining about something. Something to teach you about the silent majority. With Overwatch 2, the silent majority is technically 5v5 players, because they have no reason to complain because it is the exact game that they are currently playing.
As an OW2 player who follows the history and community, I am having a lot of fun with it. My other OW2 friends who play casually hate it.
As a 5 super chat, I'm not surprised. They've never experienced it, and it's not real Overwatch to them. So to an Overwatch 1 player, the classic feels like actual Overwatch to you. Granted, it's broken as I'll talk about that in a few minutes. But like, genuinely, it feels like real Overwatch. It feels like what you imagine in your head as Overwatch. Doesn't translate to Overwatch 2 players. So if and when the day comes where they do the 6v6 playtests, and you know, it goes well, and they're like, what do we do? there's going to be a very large amount of people that don't want 6v6, and they want to continue on the path they're currently on. The biggest thing more than anything is going to be queue time, but I think that the seeds have definitely been sown for that war. It's there now. And that was not the point of the playtest. People have taken that as the point of the playtest, or sorry, the classic event, but that's not what it is. The playtest will be that. I think this is overall really good. I'm having a blast with it. It really does shine some light though on like certain things you thought were really, really good, but it wasn't actually at launch. It was like a few months later or many months later. I overall think it's a really good event. There are some bads though. The bads for sure are Diva and Lucio are borderline useless. Tracer's a menace. Winston is probably the best tank, or Hog if you're solo. If you do double Winston, that's probably the best. Ryan Zarya feels okay. Ryan without pin cancel, it just feels clunky as hell. Even how much you can turn while pinning. How much you can turn while pinning is crazy different, right? Like, I feel like I'm a speed racer with how much I can turn in normal Overwatch 2 these days. Overwatch 1, you're like, that's like how far you could turn. And it just feels so clunky. All the heroes feel so clunky and old. It's crazy. But it's still a nice trip down this memory lane. There's lots of things that can be said about all of it, right? But here's the deal.
These barrels are smoking.
Yes, there's shit that's broken. And honestly, I think this is just a funny thing to show. It's like, imagine copying Fortnite to immediately be overshadowed by Fortnite again. Even though they don't even overlap, it returns December 6th. But here's also the funny part, is the clapbacks are actually so good on a lot of these. Normally these tweets would always get like 100,000 likes, and I haven't even seen that. And it is funny because it's like, strong independent, broke ass, is the same thing. It's like how y'all sound. And then I thought this tweet was pretty funny too. And it's like, they steal from TF2, they even do from OG Fortnite, just saying. So this event is so cool because they even brought back the TF2 fans that bitch in your ear. Oh man, but overall though, yeah, there's some bads, right? Like, yeah, like the game feels clunky. Yeah, like you realize only having a few maps is kind of a little bit boring over time, right? But like genuinely, it is such a stretch to say anything's really bad about this game mode. Like seriously, they learned so much. They learned so much from the quick play hacks. They made sure that they made a separate category for it so you can still play your normal Overwatch every day, right? Like they did everything in their power to keep people from bitching and coming up with crazy shit, and people still find ways to come up with crazy shit. This is why I propose they should just went all in and just made the whole game that for like 3 weeks and just said, F it. I'm all, like, we're all in. Like, you're going back in the time machine for 3 weeks. And then make it a whole event where, like, where we thought they were going to be doing patches where every week they update the game into a later patch, right? So the game is refreshing every week, right? They could have went all in with it, but they didn't because they don't want to make people mad. They're trying to do good by people at the same time and, like, so like, give them a chance to play old Overwatch and have a nostalgia trip, but also not like lose the base game either. And like, man, it's just, why is it always like there's something going on in the background? Anyways, I've lost my train of thought of where I was gonna go with that with all the TTSs at this point. But yeah, I think the event's really, really good. I'm more in shock that anyone could think it's bad. It's not the 6v6 playtest. I think anyone who's like panicking and being like, oh my god, this is just to influence people and make them not want to do 6v6 are just like, please, dude, stop. Like, just shut up. Just shut up. Just let them. If you don't want to play it, don't play it. It's not that hard. It's great. It's gonna be one of those things that brings tens of thousands of people back to Overwatch. And you know what the best part of all of that is? If they're gonna come into the base game today and realize all the improvements, all the quality of life changes that have been done, and if they decide to leave that classic mode queue and play the base game, they're probably gonna have a good time. Yeah, they won't have the 6v6, yeah, they won't have 2 tanks, whatever, but like, they'll probably see all the new characters. They'll probably see how a lot of them feel, and how a lot of them handle, and how clean the game feels. And man, that's a good thing. That's a good thing. I don't know. Where I was going with this is completely ruined, so I'm just gonna end it here.